right, come down.
I have a plane like station in my backyard.
Ladies, gentlemen, those who know me and those who don't, tonight we're doing two things. Number one, we're finishing Samson. Number two, we're finishing Lord of the Ruins. Tonight is the last night, and you might sit there and you might think to yourself, whoa, now, there's more to Judges. Well, you're right, there is more to Judges, and it's your responsibility to go home and read the rest of it.
I'm reading Revelations right
now.
now.
Go home and do that. Go home and do that. It's epic.
No excuse.
Okay. Once upon a time, there were two ducks and a frog.
Whoa. Duck, frog?
And they were the best of friends. This is fictional, just so you know. And they lived in this pond on this farm, and they like hung out all the time, and it was great. You might think it's strange that ducks and frogs hang out, but they really do. But anyway, in this story they hung out. Now, this particular summer though was really hot, and the pond began to dry up, and it was quite obvious that before long the pond was going to be completely dried up and their home was going to be gone. And so the ducks are like looking at this, and the ducks are like, you know, this is okay for us because we could just fly to the pond, but we don't want to leave you, Mr. Toad, Mr. Frog, our friend. We don't want to leave you behind. So we don't know what to do. And the frog was like, hey, wait, I got an idea. You guys, we'll get a big, strong stick, and you guys will grab the stick in your bills, whatever, bills, and then I'll grab in the middle, and then you can fly off with me, and then we'll go find a new pond. And the ducks were like, sweet, that sounds good. So the ducks like took to the air, right, and they were like finding a new pond, a place where they could live, and they came back and they were like, hey, we found the best place ever. And the frog was like, great, I got this stick over here. It's light but strong, should be good enough to hold all three of us and hold me especially. So the frogs, or the ducks were like, great. So the ducks bend down and they grab the stick in their bills on either side, and the frog gets a good grip in the middle, and the ducks just take to the air. Now you can imagine how this looks, right? Okay? Two ducks, a stick, and a frog hanging between them. And as they take off in the air, they get up to a good distance, and the farmer looks up, and he's like, okay, that is weird, but, you know, I have to hand it to him. That was a great idea. Whose idea was that? And the frog said, mine! Because he didn't know.
He died.
Don't worry about that.
They all got attacked by a hawk.
Pride. Pride. What is pride? Yeah, you can answer that one. What is pride?
He could have said that and not let go.
Pride. What is pride?
He's a frog.
Oh, wait, hey, listen to Emily. Okay, ego's big and full of himself. I like that. What's pride over here? What's pride?
I'm never wrong.
Okay. Alright, I'm never wrong. Thinking more highly of yourself, that sounds like a good one. Thinking more highly of yourself than you ought to think. Hey guys.
A basic human thing.
There are good forms of There are good forms of pride and there are bad forms of pride. There's the pride as in, you know what, I'm really proud of my kids. I'm really proud of the way that God is shaping them. I'm really proud of their accomplishments today. I'm really proud of what they're doing. I'm really proud of my kids. There's that kind of pride. That's a good and healthy pride. There's even a kind of healthy pride where I'm proud of myself for a good day's work. I'm proud of myself for what I accomplished. I'm proud of doing this and that. And there's a healthy side to that. But there's a very unhealthy, very sinful, very wrong form of pride, which, as you guys pretty accurately defined, is full of selfishness, full of ego, full of all about me. What causes pride? If I ask that question, what would you guys think? What causes pride?
Sin.
Get deeper.
Confidence.
Overconfidence.
Alright, good. That's a good one. What else? What else?
No, it's not just confidence.
What else?
It's overconfidence.
What else?
Oh, that's not, no. Don't, you're not part
Okay. Anything else? Oh, man.
Like if you were spoiled, I guess you would try.
Ooh, okay, spoiled. You could cry. Here, let me give you guys 4 things. You ready? You ready? These are 4 things that cause pride. This is not in your notes, but you can write it down if you want to. 4 things that causes pride. You ready? Power, wisdom, versus beauty.
What?
Power, wisdom, versus beauty. Power, riches, beauty, very good. Wisdom. In and of themselves, are these things bad things? No. No, in and of themselves, these things are not bad. But if they're taken to extremes, they can be bad. Power. Look what I can do, basically. Wisdom. Look what I know. Riches. Look what I have. Beauty. Emily touched on this one. Look at me. Those things are not bad. Okay, like power's not bad. Wisdom is not bad. In fact, the Bible wants us to be wise, right? Riches, having things is not bad. Having money is not bad. Even beauty is not bad. Even wanting beauty is not bad. But it's when these things control us and inflate us to a point that is unhealthy, that's when pride happens. Here's my definition. This is in your notes. This is the definition I'm going to give you. Pride is ignoring my dependence on God. Pride is ignoring my dependence on God. If you are a human being, do we have human beings? Human beings. If you are a human being, whether you believe in God or not, you are completely and totally dependent on Him. Every breath that you take is a gift from God. Every day is a gift from God. We are completely and totally dependent on God. And pride is when I refuse to acknowledge that I am dependent on God. Does that make sense? Now look at me and say, what does this have to do with Samson? Very good. Let's get to that. Judges chapter 16. Samson was prideful. Okay, 2 weeks ago we talked about Samson as he started down the slippery slope of compromise. He began to compromise his beliefs, compromise his vow. Last week we looked at his tendency to get revenge. Even when he said, at one point he said, I'm going to get revenge and I'm going to quit, and he didn't quit. This week we're going to look at pride. And we're going to look at Samson's pride, and we're going to look at 4 things that pride does. This is going to be in your notes. By the way, you can flip your page if you want to see the notes, because I couldn't fit everything. So just keep that in mind. But 4 things that pride does. Okay, Judges 16. After this, he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek whose name was Delilah. Anything wrong with loving somebody? Nope. Okay, very good. All right, he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek whose name was Delilah. Now, who knows who Delilah is? Okay, good. Now, this is very unfortunate because Delilah, if you separate the person in the story here from the name, Delilah is like a real pretty name, right? But like, I can bet none of you girls are planning on naming your daughter Delilah because of Delilah and what she did and who she was in the Bible. Actually, I knew somebody in college whose name was Delilah. And when she introduced herself to me, I didn't say this, thank goodness, but I thought this. I was like, what are your parents thinking? Anyway.
Some people don't know this story.
Anyway, everyone knows this story. This is up there with John 3:16. All right, her name is Delilah, verse 5. And the lords of the Philistines came up to her and said to her, seduce him, and see where his great strength lies, and by what means we may overpower him, that we should bind him to humble him. And we will each give you 1,100 pieces of silver. Now, I don't know exactly how much that is in dollars, but it's a lot. And it says each of them, not like one grand sum of 1,100, but each of them will give her 1,100 pieces of silver. Now, it doesn't say how many Philistines there were that said this. There could have been 10, there could have been 100, there could have been 1,000. I like to think more than 1,000 because they already tried 1,000 Philistines, and that didn't work out so well last week. But I don't know. Anyway, she's getting a nice chunk of change for trying to figure out what makes Samson strong. Verse 6. So Delilah said to Samson, I can see this in my head, how she would say this. Please tell me where your great strength lies. Can any of you ladies will flutter the eyes? You know how to do that? Yeah, that's kind of what I think is going on here, right? And how you might be bound that one could subdue you. Now that should have been, okay, well that goes into our first point. This should have been like warning sign number 1, Samson. Here's your first point. Pride is blinding. What's wrong, Samson? This is, alarms should start going off. Something's not right with this girl. But look what he does. Verse 7. Samson said to her, if they bind me with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, then I shall become weak and be like any other man. Then the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7 fresh bowstrings that had not been dried, and she bound him with them. Now she had men lying in ambush in an inner chamber, and she said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson!" But he snapped the bowstrings as a thread of flax snaps when it touches the fire, so the secret of his strength was not known. Okay, let me give all of you a piece of advice here. This is the worst example of a relationship in the Bible. She is manipulating him, and he is lying to her. Recipe for disaster. If you learn nothing else from me, learn that. You get into a relationship where somebody's lying to you or trying to manipulate you, get out. Okay? There, side note, moving back on. Pride is blinding. He lied to her. He tells her this story about the bowstrings. She has men hidden in the inner chamber. And when they all come out and she says, "The Philistines are upon," he just snaps the bowstrings. Now, I'm kind of curious. It doesn't say what happens to the men, but I'm kind of thinking they hit the window. And they saw the bowstrings didn't work, snap. Oh, snap. And then they're out. Point 2. Okay, this should have been a wake-up call. Point 2. Pride makes you stupid. Pride makes you stupid.
Samson should have been that
I'm
Delilah.
just going to say not smart. 'Cause
Look at verse 10.
bad word.
Then Delilah said to Samson, "Behold, you have mocked me and told me lies." And he did not respond, "And you manipulated me and tried to get my secrets." Anyway, "Behold, you have mocked me and told me lies. Please tell me how you might be bound." Okay, seriously. He tells her the first time. It's a lie, but he tells her. She tries it on him. She's got men hidden in her house. She comes back to him with the same question. Warning sign number 2. "Samson, what is wrong with you?" He's easy. He was prideful. And pride leads to stupidity. Pride makes you stupid. Look at verse 11. He said to her, "If they bind me with new ropes that have not been used, then I should become weak and be like any other man." Question: why should this be a warning sign to the Philistines?
They already tried this.
They already tried the new ropes! Last week, they tried the new ropes. The Jews bound him with new ropes, and he just ripped them off. But, verse 12. So Delilah took new ropes and bound him with them and said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." And the men lying in ambush were in the inner chamber, but he snapped the ropes off his arms like a thread.
Was he like sleeping when she tied him up? Because
Probably.
What?
It's a heavy sleeper.
Probably. So pride is blinding. He is a very heavy sleeper. We'll see that in a minute. Pride is blinding. Pride makes you stupid. Here's your point 3. Pride makes you overconfident. This plays into what Matt was saying earlier. Pride makes you overconfident. Verse 13. Then Delilah said to Samson, "Until now you have mocked me and told me lies." One of you ladies do like a real whiny voice. Alright. "Tell me how you might be bound." This is really ridiculous. This is like a really bad soap opera, but this really happens. And he said to her, "If you weave the 7 locks of my head with the web and fasten it tight with a pin, then I shall become weak like any other man." Okay, he's getting closer to the truth here. He's flirting with danger. He's getting closer to the truth. He's overconfident. First it was tied with bowstrings. Second it was tied with new ropes. Now it's do something to my hair. I'm getting closer. Overconfident. Not really worried about this. Pride makes you overconfident. Verse 14. So while he slept, Delilah took the 7 locks of his head and wove them into a web. Now, I got to thinking about this. His hair has never been cut. And I don't get the impression that Samson is a very cleanly guy. And in the last week, he was in a battle where he slew 1,000 men with a jawbone, blood flying everywhere. 2 chapters ago, he was messing with honey. And she, okay, that's just gross. Anyway, she weaves his head into a web. Now, maybe he was a super clean guy, and the Bible doesn't say that, but I just kind of don't get that impression, you know what I mean? And she made them tight with a pin, so she does his hair up in this web thing, tightens it with a pin. And then says, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." But he awoke from sleep, pulled away the pin, the loom, and the web, basically shook himself out of it, and the mane of hair fell down to his butt or somewhere, I don't know. And she said to him, "How can you say I love you?" Oh, now she's pulling the big guns. "How can you say I love you when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me these 3 times, and you have not told me where your great strength lies." And I don't know what he sees in her. I seriously don't. "And when she pressed him hard with her words day after day and urged him, his soul was vexed to death." I do not have a nagging wife, praise the Lord. But I know some things about nagging people, and they are draining. That's exactly what's going on here. Day after day. Of your strength. You just lied to me. You don't love me. Finally, he's like, fine. Verse 17.
You're like, I would have been worse.
And he told her, he's not even married, he told her all his heart. And he said to her, here it is. A razor has never come upon my head. For I have been a Nazarite to God from my mother's womb. If my head is shaved, then my strength will leave me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. When Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she knew. She knew. Guys, women know when you're bearing your heart, and women know when you're blowing them off. She knew. This is it. He's told me the truth. She sent and called the lords of the Philistines, saying, come up again, for he has told me all his heart. And the Philistines believed her too, because look what happens. Then the lords of the Philistines came up to her and brought the money in their hands, cash in advance. They knew. This is it. Verse 19. She made him sleep on her knees, and she called a man and had him shave off the 7 locks of his head. Now this kind of grabbed me when I was reading it this week. I never really thought about this. He's asleep. They didn't have buzzers back then, but they had blades. And I'm thinking, why didn't the guy just come in and cut his throat? I think I know why, though. I was puzzled by it, but then if you look back to verse 5, they want to overpower him that they may bind him to humble him. I think the whole thing is they wanted to humiliate him. Not just kill him, but humiliate him. I think that was their plan. She called a man. He shaved off the 7 locks. Then she began to torment him, and his strength left him. And she said, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. And he awoke from sleep and said, I will go out as at other times and shake myself free. But this is the saddest verse in the story. He did not know that the Lord had left him. And the Philistines seized him and gouged out his eyes and brought him down to Gaza and bound him with bronze shackles, and he ground at the mill in the prison. This great man was brought down not by a woman, but by his pride. Here's your 4th point. Pride breaks your relationship with God. Pride breaks your relationship with God. Now, when I say breaks, I'm not saying that you become unsaved. You guys have heard me say this before. Once you put your faith in Jesus Christ, you don't ever lose that, but you can hurt it. Just like you can hurt any relationship. If you have a father or a mother, if you do something to hurt that relationship, they don't stop becoming your father or mother, but the relationship is hurt. Same idea. Pride breaks, hurts, damages our relationship with God. And it was so bad in Samson's case that he had all his hair. I mean, imagine how long his hair was. It's suddenly gone. You'd think he would have noticed the weight difference, but he didn't even realize it. He didn't even know God is gone. He had no idea. That's how full of pride he was. And it led to his downfall. You might be sitting there and you might be thinking, okay, so when are we prideful? Or how can you know you're prideful? Well, that's the sticky thing, because a lot of times you don't recognize your pride. Somebody else recognizes it. But I have a little test for you. This is in your notes too. You can write this down. You know you're prideful when? Number 1, you're a fault finder. You're a fault finder. In other words, you find fault in anything and everyone else except yourself. You have an attitude that just finds fault in everyone and anything. You blame this, you blame that, except yourself. There's pride going on in your heart. Number 2, if you have a harsh spirit. If you have a harsh spirit, if your attitude is just nasty, that is a symptom of pride in your heart. If you have a harsh spirit. Number 3, if you're superficial. If you're just, not flaky, but if you're like, don't go deep at all. Hey guys, this is one of the reasons why we do Breakout, to give you an opportunity to go deep so that we can pray for you and know what's in your life. But if you don't let us in, if you don't let us past what's on the outside, we can't help. Superficiality is a symptom of pride. If you're defensive, somebody tries to talk to you about something going on in your life and you're just defensive, hold up the shields, don't want to hear it, symptom of pride. Number 5, let me explain this one. Presumptuous before God. If you're presumptuous before God, then, in other words, if you forget that God is God, or if you treat God as if He's not God, if you forget to worship Him, if you're so attached to the verses that talk about God is love, God is grace, but you forget that God is holy, God is just, God is God, and He deserves our awe and our respect. That's a symptom of pride. Number 6, if you're desperate for attention, if you just need attention, that is also a symptom of pride. And finally, if you neglect others. If you neglect others, if life's all about you, you don't ask about how somebody else is doing, you don't try to figure out how you can care or love on somebody else, that also is a symptom of pride. You know you're prideful when. Samson was prideful. Samson was hugely prideful, and it led to his downfall. Let's finish the story. Verse 20. Wait, which one are you missing? Flip it over. Oh, yeah, there we go. All right. Verse 23. Now the lords of the Philistines gathered to offer a great sacrifice to Dagon their god and to rejoice. And they said, our God has given Samson, our enemy, into our hands. Is that a true statement? Did Dagon give Samson? No. Verse 24. When the people saw him, they praised their God. For they said, our God has given our enemy into our hand, the ravager of our country, who has killed many of us. And when their hearts were merry, they said, call Samson, that he may entertain us. So they call, that's probably, that word entertain probably means more like poke fun at him, do things to him, he's blind, slap him, think, who knows. He may entertain us. So they called Samson out of the prison, and he entertained them. They made him stand between the pillars, and Samson said to the young man who held him by the hand, let me feel the pillars on which the house rests, that I may lean against them. And the house was full of men and women. All the lords of the Philistines were there, and on the roof there were about 3,000 men and women who looked on while Samson entertained. Then, final verses of Samson's life. Then Samson called to the Lord and said, O Lord God, please remember me, and please strengthen me only this once. O God, that I may be avenged on the Philistines for my 2 eyes. And Samson grasped the 2 middle pillars on which the house rested, and he leaned his weight against them, his right hand on one and his left hand on the other. And Samson said, let me die with the Philistines. Then he bowed with all his strength, and the house fell upon the lords and upon all the people who were in it, so the dead whom he killed at his death were more than those whom he killed during his life. I'm going to submit to you that this is a tragic end. You might be thinking, but Samson wins in the end, right? I mean, yeah, he dies with them, but he takes a bunch of them out with him. Doesn't he win? Doesn't he kill the enemies of Israel? Didn't God use him? Yes. But how much greater of a hero could he have been if he is just humble before God? If he wasn't prideful and after revenge and compromising all the time, how much of a hero? Take the heart of Moses, the most humble man alive, the Bible says, put it in Samson. Seriously, he could have single-handedly destroyed all the enemies of Israel. But he had all these issues. Compromising, need for revenge, pride in his life. And although he was a great hero, and although Hebrews tells us that he was a man of faith, he wasn't everything he could have been. He wasn't everything he could have been. Pride led to his downfall, led to his humiliation. Yes, God used him. But I submit to you, as many as Goliath hurt, as many as Samson killed and what he did, it could have been so much greater. I want to share with you 2 verses. Pride leads to downfall. Pride leads to humiliation. How does God deal with pride? Proverbs 29:23 says this, one's pride will bring him low, but he who is lowly in spirit will be honored, or obtain honor. James 4:6, but he gives more grace. Therefore it said, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. God opposes the proud. Yes, Samson did a whole lot. And I want you to notice, God didn't oppose him right away. Sometimes God lets us be prideful in hopes that we'll repent and turn back, but it's going to catch up with us. God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. I want to leave you guys with these questions, okay? In what ways are you prideful? In what ways are you, going back to our definition, in what ways are you ignoring your dependence on God? Is there something, just think about this in your heart, okay? Is there something God is placing on you right now? You know, this is from God. He's showing me areas where I'm prideful. Is there something going on inside of you right now? Your pride is going to tell you to ignore that. The Spirit is trying to teach you. How have you been blinded? How have you been stupid? We're all stupid, okay? How have you been overconfident? How have you hurt your relationship with God? Pride affects each of us. See, there are some sins that affect other people but don't necessarily affect some. Well, pride affects everybody. So this is not a matter of if, it's a matter of how has it affected you. Let's take a moment and pray, and then we're going to do our closing song. Lord, this issue of pride affects even me. I know I've been blind at times, stupid at times, overconfident at times.